Hi friends, welcome to UPSC World. This is Dr. Harinath Reddy, Director of the Institute. Today in this particular session, we will try to discuss one general essay topic which has come in the past. And by doing so, I will try to explain how to write an answer with whatever knowledge you have on the concerned topic. So one statement which has come in the past in the general essay paper is this statement. If a development is not engendered, it is endangered. This is the statement. Here, see, there are certain requirements for you to write the essay answer in the exam. The first requirement is sometimes the language used in the statement is tough. Unless you have command over English language, you cannot understand the statement. If you don't understand the statement, you cannot draw any conclusion from the statement. If you can't draw any conclusion from the statement, you cannot give an answer. That's the first requirement. So your ability to understand the statement sometimes depends on your command over the language. This is relatively more easy statement. Sometimes the statements are relatively more tough. The language is relatively more tough, which means you should be good at vocabulary as well. So the first requirement is read the statement, try to get the meaning out of the statement. Once you have understood the statement, the second challenge is your ability to arrange your ideas on the topic in an organized manner. I said yesterday this is one requirement. Arrange your ideas in an order. The third challenge is if you want to expand your ideas, you must have command over the topic. And that command over the topic comes by wider reading or listening to people who had command over that particular topic. So these are the three requirements. The first requirement is you should have the ability to understand the statement. The second one is after you have understood the statement, after you have drawn conclusion from the statement regarding which topic it is related to, then you should think about that particular topic and then think about all ideas which you have on that particular topic and then try to arrange these ideas in an order. Then the third challenge is you should be in a position to expand every idea into two or more paragraphs. That's the requirement to write the general essay answer. Then the second one is, especially when the UPSC gives statements in the general essay paper, sometimes a statement may have more than one meaning. If a particular statement gives rise to two or three kinds of conclusions, then you can write two or three different essay answers, keeping in mind the meaning of the statement. So UPSC has already clarified if one particular statement can be interpreted in more than one way, any general essay answer based on any one interpretation is right answer. So here if you take the statement, if development is not engendered, so here engender is a keyword. The second keyword is endanger. The third keyword is development. So this statement has got two possible meanings. The first dominant meaning is engendering development means development which is a gender equal. So giving equal opportunities for both men and women to participate in development. That is one meaning. Engendering development. If development is not engendered, if a development is not made equally accessible to both men and women, then development will not happen. That's the meaning of the statement. That's one meaning of the statement. So unless there is a gender equal development, we cannot fulfill our true potential of development. That's the one meaning of the statement. But there is also a second meaning to the statement. If you search the meaning of the word engender in the Oxford Dictionary, it says give rise to. So here the second meaning of the statement is, if you don't focus on development, then there will be no development. if development is not engendered, if development is not facilitated, if development is not focused upon, then there will be no development. To give an example, let's see the political parties today in India, especially at the state level. There is a lot of populism, populist schemes. So most of the political parties in India, in most of the states, they focus on short-term gains over long-term gains. They focus more on welfare rather than on development, physical development, development of physical infrastructure, human development. So if the political parties which compete in the elections, if they don't focus on development, if they don't keep development as one of the agendas, then the states will not get developed. Today, according to the chairman of the 15th Finance Commission, he says that freebies have become very rampant, and freebies are a passport to financial disaster. That's what N.K. Singh, the chairman of the 15th Finance Commission, said. If all the money which is available, if this money is spent giving freebies without investing much in physical infrastructure, economic infrastructure, and social infrastructure, in the long run, the development gets affected. Then there will be no economic growth and there will be no job creation. This is dangerous for the future of India. That's the second possible meaning. So if you write an essay answer focusing on women empowerment, that is one way of writing an essay answer for this statement. The second one is how development has missed out from the agenda of the political parties of India today is another way of writing an essay answer. But don't try to combine both of these. You try to write an essay answer on any one of these two interpretations which you draw from the statement. That's the first statement. That is the first requirement when you write the essay answer. Then the second one is how to structure the essay. Now let us take the first interpretation. The statement, it means gender equal development is the necessary. That's what the statement says. Women account for 50% of the population at the national level and at the global level. If you deny them opportunities, our full potential to development will not be realized. So it focuses on gender equal development. In other words, it's about women empowerment. So this is your ability. This is the ability which is required from you. After properly reading the statement and understanding the statement, you must arrive at what the statement is all about. Now I have arrived that the statement is all about women empowerment, gender equal development. Then if this is the takeaway from the statement, then how to structure my ideas on women empowerment? That is the next challenge. If I were to be in your place, I will structure my discussion on women empowerment in the following ways. I will start with relevance in the sense, in the recent past, in the last 2-3 years, why this topic has been in the news. So you should tell the examiner, women empowerment is a very important issue because it has been there in the public domain. So that is the first paragraph which you should write in the essay answer. You tell the examiner why it has become important. I will tell you why it has become important. Now we are all speaking about census. Government has issued a notification for conducting the census. And in 2023, Indian Parliament has come up with an important amendment, 106th Constitutional Amendment Act. So this 106th Constitutional Amendment Act has provided for reservations for women in the Lok Sabha and Legislative Assemblies. But implementing this 106th Amendment is dependent on the next census which is being conducted. So in this situation, there is a link between the census which is being conducted or which is going to be conducted and also the implementation of the 106th Amendment. To tell the examiner that government is planning to conduct a census in 26-27, and this is very important to bring into implementation the 106th Amendment dealing with reservations to the women in the Lok Sabha and legislative assemblies. So this is the context in which the issue of women empowerment needs a closer examination. That's your introduction. So start with this introduction. It is called introduction, relevance, context, etc. Then I will go to the next dimension, significance. Significance. I will pose a question to the examiner. Why women empowerment is very important? Why shall it be done? Why shall there be gender equal development? And I will try to answer this. But I will try to answer it very concisely. I said one of the requirement for writing the general essay as per UPSC notification is arrange your ideas in an order. That's one requirement. The second one is write concisely. So try to communicate your ideas by not taking too many words and too many sentences. For example, by focusing on gender equal development, we are going to achieve certain important goals. For example, we have to put a goal of Vikasit Bharat by 2047. If the 50% of the women were denied equal opportunities, is it possible for us to realize the goal of Vikasit Bharat, developed India by 2047? The second one of our goals is inclusive growth. If 50% of the women were denied equal opportunities in terms of access to health, education and skill development, can that be called inclusive growth? So by focusing on gender equal development, we are going to achieve inclusive growth, sustainable development. We can take advantage of demographic dividend. We can strengthen democracy. We can achieve egalitarian society. So these are several advantages of gender equal development. So you try to discuss this in the significance of women empowerment. What is the significance of women empowerment? Remember, when you structure the general essay answer, nothing wrong in putting several subheadings in the form of a question. I have done this in my mains exam in 2010 and 2011, and I said my score was 150 out of 250. By then it was only for 200. My scores was 120, 121. But if you convert it for 250, it goes to 150. So when I have given the subheadings, every subheading I have given it in the form of a question. Why the topic of women empowerment has been in the news? What is the significance of gender equal development in the context of India? The second dimension. The third dimension is constitutional provisions. In the sense, what does the Constitution of India speak about women and women empowerment? So this is one more dimension. There is a lot which is discussed in the Constitution. If you take the preamble speaks about liberty, equality, fraternity for all the citizens, including the women. So that's one area. Preamble speaks about women, liberty of women, equality of women, fraternity among women. Then even in fundamental rights, there are specific provisions and also general provisions. All the fundamental rights under Part 3, they are available to women on par with men, on par with any citizen. But if you take Article 15, Clause 3, it allows special provisions for women and children. Then if you take Article 23, traffic in human beings, exploiting the women for sexual purposes is prohibited. Then if you take directive principles of state policy, in Article 39A, adequate means of livelihood for both men and women. 39D, equal pay for equal work for both men and women. Article 42, maternity benefits. Article 44, enactment of uniform civil code for achieving gender equality. So this is what is discussed in the directive principles of state policy for women. Then if you take the fundamental duties, there is one fundamental duty which says renouncing the practices which are derogatory to the dignity of the woman. In other words, the Constitution does contain detailed provisions for protecting the rights of the women. The provisions are there in the preamble, in the fundamental rights, in the directive principles of state policy, even in the fundamental duties. And again, if you take the 73rd Amendment and the 74th Amendment to the Indian Constitution, under the 73rd Amendment to the Indian Constitution, women were given reservations. One third of the seats at all the levels of the local government, seats are reserved for women. Similarly, in the three kinds of the urban local bodies, one third of the seats are given for women. Remember, before 73rd and 74th Amendments, the representation of the women in the local bodies is less than 6%, but today it is around 46%. That is the impact of 73rd and 74th Amendments. So in the constitutional provisions, we can bring in the relevant articles, Article 243D, dealing with reservations for women in rural local bodies, Article 243T, reservations for women in the urban local bodies. Not only that, even if you take the 106th Amendment, which was done in 2023, it also provides for reservations to the women in the Lok Sabha and the legislative assemblies. So these are several provisions in the Indian Constitution speaking about women. So what is the conclusion which we can draw? The Constitution of India is not a silent on women. It contains a detailed provisions for empowering the women and for protecting the rights of the women. So that is the third dimension. So what are the provisions in the Indian Constitution for women empowerment? The next fourth one, what are the legal measures? Since independence till today, in the last more than 75 years, what are the various measures taken by the Indian Parliament for protecting and promoting the rights of the women? That you can very quickly discuss. Say for example, from the recent we will go back to the old. For example, we have in India Sexual Harassment of Preventing the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act 2013, Domestic Violence Act 2005, Prevention of Child Marriage Act 2006. Then we have Dowry Prohibition Act 1961. We have the Maternity Benefit Act of 1961. So like this, and Immoral Trafficking Prevention Act of 1954. So like this, the Indian Parliament has enacted a number of legislations from time to time to protect and promote the rights of the women. That you can discuss under the fourth subheading. Then under the fifth subheading, you can discuss the role of Supreme Court. Role of Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court of India, through its various judgments, also intervene to protect the rights of the women. For example, if you take Vishaka judgment in 1997, this is the judgment in which the Supreme Court has given guidelines for protecting the women from sexual harassment at workplace. And you also know that honor killings were made illegal in one of the important cases called Shakti Vahini versus Union of India. If a young couple from different castes, they get married, they're being killed in the name of honor. So Supreme Court has come to the rescue of such couple through an important judgment. It's not only that. Live-in relationships were made legal by again the Supreme Court. It's not only that. Even the Supreme Court has given a judgment recently in 2018 decriminalizing adultery. Decriminalizing adultery. So like this, the Supreme Court from time to time has given several important judgments. For example, in 2017, the Supreme Court has given a judgment declaring instantaneous triple talaq, which is affecting the Muslim woman, as invalid. So all these judgments, you can discuss this under the role of the Supreme Court. There are even judgments given by the Supreme Court regarding the rights of the woman. When a woman is to be arrested, when they can be arrested, whom they can arrest them, and what precautions are to be taken to protect the dignity of the women, that was laid down by the Supreme Court in the cases. That's the fifth dimension. Then when it comes to sixth dimension, you try to discuss all the schemes which were initiated by Government of India from time to time, along with some of the schemes of the state government. We have Sabala, we have Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. So we have many such schemes which were initiated by Government of India for women. So all these schemes we can discuss under the schemes and initiatives taken by Government of India. The next one, What are the different committees appointed by Government of India from time to time on women to promote the rights of the women? So we have two important committees. One is Palm Rajput Committee, and earlier under Full Renu Guha. So in India, there are two high-level committees on the status of the women. The first one was headed by Full Renu Guha. It has given a report towards equality. The second one in 2016 was the second high-level committee on the status of the women by Palm Rajput. These two committees have made recommendations for reserving seats to the women in the Lok Sabha, in the legislative assemblies, in the local bodies, and that is done today. So you can bring in the committee reports. Then you can discuss what are the current challenges. So the next one, current challenges. Under current challenges, you can speak about there is increasing violence against women. We have seen a Nirbhaya episode in Delhi, Disha incident in Hyderabad, and recently in Calcutta there was a gang rape and murder of a doctor. So try to refer to such incidents of violence against women. Women, though they were given reservations in the local bodies and also Lok Sabha and legislative assemblies, they are grossly underrepresented in the judiciary at all the levels. In maybe at the subordinate level, they are relatively better represented, but at the level of higher judiciary, they are underrepresented. In the armed forces, army, navy and air force, they are underrepresented. Even in the police bureaucracy, they are underrepresented. So you can focus upon such issues. So throw light on the current challenges with respect to the problems of the women. Then under the 8th subheading, you suggest measures to address the problems with respect to women which have remained unaddressed. And then finally, the last subheading will be your conclusion. So in the conclusion, you can say that you can make use of several statements given by the great people. For example, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar says, I measure the progress of the society on the basis of the progress made by the women in that society. You can start your essay answer with such quotations. You can end your essay answer with such quotations. For example, Mahatma Gandhi says, women are endowed with the same level of intellect like the men. If women are denied equal opportunities, then we will lose our development to that extent. Even Swami Vivekananda says, a bird cannot fly with one wing. If there are no equal opportunities for women, then the entire world will be in a danger. Because the stability and peace in the world depends on equal opportunities for development for both men and women. So wherever it is possible, in the entire general essay answer over 8 to 10 pages, if you have the ability and skill, you can bring in one quotation in every page. You can start your essay answer with a quotation. You can end your essay answer with a quotation. So in the conclusion, you tell the examiner that for India to achieve inclusive growth, sustainable development and to reap demographic dividend, to strengthen democracy, to achieve egalitarian society, to bring peace and stability in the society, a gender equal development is essential. So with that you can conclude your essay answer. So this is how you need to structure. So structuring, see, in the general essay answer, there are three important challenges. Understanding the statement, drawing a conclusion from the statement. The second challenge is arranging your ideas in an order. The third challenge is for every subheading, you need to elaborate. You cannot elaborate this without you being informed about the topic. Then how can you be informed about the topic? You must be a person of wide read. So unless you read very widely, you cannot become informed. Or at least you must be listening to people who have a command over that topic. So that's the requirement and that's the challenge of general essay. As I said earlier, we are launching a general essay program from coming Monday. You give us your time, be with us, we will take care of your essay paper. We will make you informed about all the topics which are relevant for the general essay paper, and we will also train you how to write good answers over a period of time. Then you can become comfortable scoring very high in the essay paper. So that's it about in this video. We will come up with yet another topic in yet another video. Till then, thank you and all the best.